Good morning, everybody. So, welcome to the first or the inaugural edition of the National Conference on Sustainable Transformation. This program is being presented to you by JU Alumni Association Delhi chapter and is partnered by BCCI, the Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry. As we begin the session, I would request our speakers of the opening session to please come and join us on the dais. Mr. Ritik Sengupta, President, JU Alumni Association Delhi Chapter and founder partner, Nelsa Projects Consultants LLP. Mr. Abhijit Roy, President, BCCI and Managing Director and CEO, Barja Pens India Limited. Mr. Shopon Dashgupta, former Member of Parliament in Rajya Sabha and Padma Bhushan awardee. Mr. Amrit Lal Meena, IAS, former Chief Secretary to Government of Bihar and Secretary Coal Ministry, Government of India. Mr. Bishwapriya Mukherjee, Program Convener, Vice President of JU Alumni Association Delhi Chapter and founder and CEO of Oroprai Solutions Private Limited. My name is Angana Guha Roy Choudhury. My privilege is I work with the Bengal Chamber and a student of Jadavpur University. Sorry. No, Sri Ghansham Prasad, Chairperson, Central Electricity Authority. So with this, we would proceed with the program today. I would request Mr. Ritik Sengupta, President, JU Alumni Association Delhi Chapter, to please formally welcome all.
Am I audible? Thank you, Angana. Good morning, all. Please accept my regards. It is a great honor to welcome all of you to this National Conference on Sustainable Urban Transformation with the presence of eminent personalities and experts on the subject. An exchange of ideas in pursuit of the thought leadership is imminent today. On behalf of Alumni Association, National Council of Education, Jadavpur University, and Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industries, I extend a warm welcome to our distinguished guests, esteemed leaders of industries, thought leaders, and dedicated members of the organizing committee and all participants and enthusiastic members who have come together today. I am honored to welcome Dr. Shopon Dashgupta, ex-member of Parliament and the visionary, Mr. A.L. Meena sir, former Chief Secretary of Bihar and Ministry of Coal, Mr. G.S. Prasad, Chairperson, Central Electricity Authority, and our own Mr. Abhijit Roy, President, Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industries, and Managing Director and CEO, Barja Pens. This event stands as a testament to our shared commitment to contribute towards the cause of sustainable urban transformation with our collective understanding, learning, and experience. We are privileged to have with us today many accomplished professionals, thought leaders, whose expertise and insights will enrich us throughout our discussions. The seminar's theme, Sustainable Urban Transformation, has been chosen to reflect current and pressing issues of significance as well as opportunities as we anticipate a surge in urbanization in India, considering the policy thrust evident from the Honorable Prime Minister's vision of a Viksit Bharat. We are optimistic that today's forum will broaden our perspectives and foster a deeper engagement with this subject that will shape our future. The success of this seminar is made possible by the unwavering support and dedication of everyone, including the organizing committee members, our eminent speakers, our patrons, and definitely the enthusiastic members and participants here today. We are grateful for the time and effort that each one of you have invested in making this event a reality and a success. We can all anticipate that the next few hours will be both enjoyable and fruitful, offering valuable and meaningful insights that will resonate long after the final hours of the event today. Let us make the most of this opportunity to learn, to collaborate, and to inspire and participate with our modest share towards sustainable urban transformation in India. Thank you. Welcome once again.
Thank you, Mr. Ritik Sengupta. I would now request Mr. Abhijit Roy, President of BCCI and Managing Director and CEO of Barger Pens India Limited, to deliver his opening remarks with industry perspectives. Mr. Roy is also an alumnus of Jadavpur University.
Good morning, distinguished guests, respected members of the Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry, esteemed representatives of the Alumni Association of Jadavpur University, fellow speakers and friends. It's a privilege to be here today, and if I may say so, it is also somewhat nostalgic. Returning to an event associated with Jadavpur University always makes me feel two things at once: deep pride and a sudden memory of how I once survived on canteen tea and snacks while believing I was solving the world's greatest engineering problems. Of course, back then, sustainability mainly meant making our notes and pocket money last till the end of the semester. Today, however, the context is much larger, and so are the stakes. Our theme, Sustainable Urban Transformation, it is just not a development agenda, it is a shared responsibility towards the future. As we know, cities are expanding rapidly. By 2050, nearly 70% of the world's population will be living in urban centers. In India, our cities are sites of innovation, culture, and opportunity. They are also sites of congestion, pollution, inequality, and environmental stress. In short, our cities are full of energy, but sometimes we wish the traffic signals were too. To make our urban future sustainable, we must do more than build greener buildings or smarter roads. We must think how we live, how we move, how we consume, and how we plan. And importantly, we need collaboration, not in theory, but in practice. That is why this partnership between Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Alumni Association of Jadavpur University is so meaningful. Industry brings the scale and implementation capability. Academia brings research, innovation, and occasionally passionate debate at 2 a.m. over chai. When these strengths come together, transformation is not only possible, it becomes sustainable. However, let us remember, a sustainable city is not only about clean energy and efficient infrastructure. It is also about people. A city that is environmentally sound, yet socially exclusive, is not truly sustainable. The real goal is a city that is resilient, inclusive, and humane, where progress is shared, where dignity is protected, and where development lifts everyone, not just a select few. I stand here today with a sense of continuity. From being a student of Jadavpur University full of ideas, to standing here among leaders and thinkers committed to shaping the future. This journey reinforces my belief that knowledge, when combined with collective will, creates changes that last. Let us use this conference not merely to speak about solutions, but to shape them together. Let us bring forward our research, our creativity, our entrepreneurial courage, and yes, the optimism that has carried all of us through many challenges, academic and otherwise. Thank you, and I look forward to the insightful discussions ahead. And fear not, this is only the opening speech. The coffee break is still on schedule. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abhijit Roy. We would now request Mr. Ghanshyam Prasad, Chairperson of Central Electricity Authority, to please deliver his address.
Good morning everyone. All the dignitaries sitting on the dais and the delegates sitting off the dais. Today morning I was just wondering, it's a function of Jadavpur University. I am not the alumni of Jadavpur University, but still, last time also, thanks to Vishwajit who invited me to be a part of this function. And today again I am in front of you with a passion and with the probably the same feeling, probably the alumni of Jadavpur University is feeling today. Let me once again thank BCC and the Jadavpur University alumni to invite me to be a part of this particular session. Avijit rightly said, it's an era where the transformation is happening. And again, I was thinking that I am not from the urban side of it, but still I have been invited to be a part of this session. Does it only mean that I have to speak on the energy part of it or the overall sustainability of the urban development as such? But then the thought came to my mind, what does this urban, URBAN, can I really transform it in a different manner? The one thought that came to me is you can be unsustainable or maybe unprecedented growth that is happening in the urban sector. But the moment I think of it, the challenges comes because of the kind of or the growth that is happening. Say for example, if I take Gurgaon itself, the closest city, which is growing in terms of the power demand at a pace of somewhere around 20% plus. I think when we talk about the economic growth, we still confine ourselves to 7 to 8%. Power sector confine ourselves to again almost of a similar figure. But a pocket which is developing at a pace which is much, much higher, how does the infrastructure keep pace with that kind of a development? That's a real challenge that everyone faces, including the energy sector and the power sector. So this comes along with the density of the population that is getting into the urban sector. The moment it becomes denser and denser day by day, I still remember when we came first time in Delhi to join the job, there were all single-story houses. Now you see multi-storied houses, all kinds of issues. Hardly few vehicles used to be there. Now I think wherever you go in Delhi, probably it's a chain of vehicles. Congestions, power demand going up, pollution also going up. There are so many things. I mean, if you start jotting down the list, probably it might tend to be endless. So the second word, that R, gave me a thought that while we talk about urban, why not we reverse the entire cycle? Can we start thinking of rural areas and start developing the rural areas itself instead of urbanizing, concentrating on the urbans right now? Probably it might turn the table the other side of it. And if you see any developed countries, you talked about Viksit Bharat 2047. Viksit Bharat is you are aiming at somewhere reaching to a standards where other countries have already reached. You see any developed countries, go to their rural areas, you will find all amenities there. Roads, water, electricity, education, health, counts. I mean, the factors, the drivers which brings you to the urban areas, probably you start creating these drivers right in the rural areas, probably the things will reverse itself. And I think in India, we have huge amount of opportunity. And this is what I keep on guiding my distribution utilities, particularly in the power segment, that now the time has come that we develop and we start giving reliable 24 by 7 uninterrupted quality power to the rural areas. And the day you start giving to the rural areas, probably the small industries, the medium industries, and maybe some large industries as well will start getting developed in such areas. And the opportunity for which people come to the urban areas, mostly because of the job and other aspects, maybe job, the health, the kind of life the urban people, I mean, the things that keeps on attracting you, probably you will find all of them with another additional benefit of decongestion and better air quality and better health, probably that is going to be there in the rural areas. Probably that's the mindset and the thinking probably we'll have to change if we really have to address the problem of urban areas. What it leads to is coming to the third letter B, is driving the better living, isn't it? This is where we are all thinking about. We start with some kind of a facilities, then we keep on increasing. And we think that if I stay in urban areas, I will have a better living. But is that really true? I really don't know, because the recent trend is people have already started looking for relaxation and going to some remote areas somewhere, maybe some farmhouses, somewhere to just to get the relaxation. So probably the things are coming to a stage where we need to deviate even for a better living, which probably is going to be the things. Can I say that access to all amenities, which I was just counting, and I just illustrated only a few of them. Probably one can keep on adding the list of it. But having said all this, the last word N probably gives us all the solutions. And what are these solutions? These solutions gives you all kinds of new technologies that is coming in. I can see the roof sol homes, which is probably doing PM Surigher. This is a small initiative of the government of India going for on promoting the rooftop solars. And probably this is a big driver for making these people self-reliant. Just think it in a bigger terms. What happens the moment I don't restrict myself only to the solar panels, but if I go for solar panel along with the storage a bit, can I not create a self-sustainable economy right in the rural areas itself? And let me inform the House today that right now we are operating around 240 microgrids in the country. And these microgrids, even though they started much earlier with us, and in an era where the rural areas were not getting electricity at that time, they were hardly getting few hours of electricity. That was the beginning and that was the concept to provide them electricity. But they have transformed themselves from DG sets to now solar, battery, biomass, which is another area which the rural areas needs to be given focus. Delhi right now is facing the huge amount of pollution mainly because of parali burning and etc. Until we are able to control that kind of a burning and say that zero burning and use this biomass for production of electricity. And some of these microgrids, they have started doing that. So with all these combinations, they are able to provide reliable electricity to their own customer in a small areas. And of course, the cost of generation definitely is slightly higher. but the satisfaction is that at least these people are getting a good amount of electricity. Then comes the smart cities. I think all of you must have heard about the smart cities, which I'll not go upon the attributes of it. In terms of electricity, we also talk about the smart grid. And these smart grid must be promoted so that at least we have a better way of using the electricity. Similarly, somebody told about the buildings. Until unless you make your buildings efficient enough, Bureau of Energy Efficiency has given a building code which needs to be implemented. At least for the new buildings, some kind of a mandate has also been given to the states so that at least they try to see that the new buildings at least they adhere to these building codes so that they are more energy efficient. There are organizations which are trying to see that their buildings are net zero, which means the entire electricity consumption, at least they are able to produce with green power. Next comes is huge amount of waste is getting generated in the urban areas, isn't it? And probably we all are responsible for it. We generate the waste and it gets dumped somewhere else. So until this, we have the policy of waste management, and the people have to come forward and try to see that the waste gets segregated right at the source where it is generated. And then after segregation of these waste, these are utilized for various applications. And one of the applications definitely what we are looking at is can we have the waste to energy type of plants. Some of the plants have been installed. Two, three are operating in Delhi as well, but they are not sufficient. Probably we'll have to increase the number to an extent wherein almost entire waste which is getting generated in the cities and the urban areas gets used and maybe for the electricity productions. But Acharya is here. I think they have been driving this and they have already established, NTPC had established one plant in Varanasi. They are generating, they are using, they are trying to transform these waste into good fuel. There are small industries which has come up, which are also transforming the biomass into pellets. And these pellets we have now mandated that these pellets must be used in the powerhouses, that means coal-based power plants. So what we have tried to create a value chain for these paralis to be transformed into a fuel, though slightly costly, but still, if you see the entire value chain, probably it is sustainable and coming to this. So what is required particularly in this area is we need to move ahead in a mission mode. And since our minister is common as on date, Manohar Lal ji is looking after power as well as urban affairs. So we jointly sat together, all of us, and did a brainstorming and came out with some kind of solutions across the country so that we multiply it in a mission mode and have more number of such waste to energy power plants. So that at least the urban issues are mostly solved. So dealing with all these problems, trying to use the new technologies, going smarter and smarter, maybe with the smart grid, smart solutions, trying to move towards the clean energy, distributed generations, self-sustainable models. All these could be a solutions which I think completes the entire process. But I'll again must say that we need to see this problem in a holistic manner, then only it can lead to a sustainable solutions for urban development. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Prasad. We would now request Mr. Shopun Dashgupta, a former Member of Parliament in Rajya Sabha and Padma Bhushan awardee, to please deliver his visionary address.
Good morning, everyone. I must first confess that I've come here under very terribly false pretenses. I'm neither an alumnus of Jadavpur University, nor am I even remotely connected with anything to do with engineering or sustainability as an international phenomena. But I came here partly because of the sheer persistence, the sheer doggedness with which Mr. Mukherjee invited me. And I hope I can shed some light on certain non-technical aspects of this very important subject with which we are discussing. As a layman, and particularly when I heard Mr. Prasad, I was struck by how a notion such as sustainability, etc., progress, is determined by what might be called technological fashion. If you recall in the 60s, in the 50s and the 60s, the real big thing was the building of big dams as a way of electricity, the temples of modern India as they were christened at that particular time. From then, we were told, no, big dams are bad. They're terrible for everything. They dispossess people, they play havoc with nature, etc. So big dams went out of the window. Subsequently, at some point, we were told that what we need is appropriate technology. And the more colorful versions of appropriate technology was how we can create generation of electricity through gobar gas, if I recall right. So from there to move on to the solar panels on the roof, I think we've come a long way. But I'm just wondering whether to what extent our goals are dictated by fashion, and to what extent will this fashion change in the coming days to make our missions even more elusive. I say that because the notion of sustainability itself is quite contentious. It's also very culture specific. What is sustainable in the West need not be here. Let's take an example. It's the vogue in most European cities, at least, to have bicycle lanes. And people are encouraged to sort of cycle to work, etc., use it far more than their cars. A very noble and laudable proposition. But you try this here in Delhi, which a lot of people do cycle in any case at the moment. The climate goes against it. The entire manner in which our cities have been designed goes against it. It's not that you decry it, but if you put that as a priority and say that you will get a multiple sort of solution from that, I think it'll be very limited in nature. Just as if you think that solar panels and water harvesting will together resolve a particular issue. While again, it's quite tempting to say that we should actually relocate the cities and go on to villages, as you suggested. Nice idea. But again, what is the nature of work? I mean, if we can redesign work to mean only work from home, and really design it in that fashion, that is a very, very feasible and desirable solution. It's being practiced very effectively in the West. But if the need for offices, if the need for manufacturing is still there, then this becomes slightly more problematic. I think these are some of the questions, these cultural issues are very much there. In the West, they say, get rid of cars. Good idea, good idea. Emission levels, etc., are being talked about. But look at India today. We are essentially an aspirational society. How and with what face do you tell someone who's climbed up the ladder from the bottom that you cannot have a two-wheeler, that you cannot buy from a two-wheeler, you don't graduate to a second-hand car? How can you say that? It becomes very, very difficult. So the entire notion of how we define sustainability in the Indian context has to be looked upon through a prism which is essentially Indian and specific in nature. So there is a cultural context which is there. I think it's very important we're talking about Viksit Bharat. Now, what's important about Viksit Bharat is not the slogan itself, but for the first time, a political leadership has decided that India needs to elevate itself to the top rung of the global league, that we must sit in the high table of the world. There used to be a notion where earlier it used to be called third world, which basically meant that you practice what is called jugaad. You use a lot of sellotape and sticking plaster to do various things because it was a shortage economy. And how you manage a shortage economy and how you innovate through a shortage economy was basically the priority. It used to be said that the height of innovation in Punjab was when they turned a washing machine into something as an instrument for making lassi by the bucketful. So that was innovation at that particular point. Now, I think we've moved away from that notion of what constitutes innovation, what constitutes sustainability, what is our objective, what is our goal in life. If we are thinking to go to the top of the league or somewhere near the top of the league, we have to think, of course we have to think about that our roads need not be full of potholes. We have to think about the fact that the air we breathe shouldn't be as vile as the one which we are breathing outside. We have to think about the fact that we cannot have mediocrity in our universities, that we must strive for actual excellence. These are the aspirations which we look forward. And the notion of sustainability has to be governed through that of what we can do under the circumstances and how our lifestyles must be modified, not redefined. Because the moment you try and redefine it, people will object, people will resist. But if you nudge people in a particular, like waste management is a particular example of that. This is a particularly realizable project. And I think it's sad that it's not being practiced more effectively all over the country. Urban governance. How is urban governance? It's in a complete shambles, urban governance. The notion of urban governance that it has to have a slightly different tack from how panchayats are run is something which hasn't yet filtered down. And that's again going to be an issue because overall India is urbanizing at a more rapid rate. I mean, it's not like yesterday's elections in Bihar, which is essentially a rural society. In most other places, take places like Gujarat, Maharashtra, they're becoming more and more urbanized as the days go by. And these are really at the top notch of our development corridor. So, when we talk about sustainability, my appeal to you is please, apart from looking at it through the prism of an engineer, do look at how that engineering is going to be applicable in your society. And to what extent can it be implemented by ensuring that it fits in with the modest modifications of the lifestyle of our people. And finally, let me just say, having delivered my homilies on what you are not doing right, let me just say something. Since this is a gathering also of the alumnus of Jadavpur University, I can't resist the temptation of saying something which is connected to the place where Jadavpur University is located and about the university itself. May I just say that Jadavpur University was set up with a very noble objective. It had a certain trajectory which is intimately linked with our national movement. And it also developed a degree of excellence and reputation which was formidable for those days. We have to ask ourselves the question as to why today Jadavpur gets into the news for all the wrong reasons. I think it's something which, as an alumnus, as someone who have been who have achieved so much, as proud students of this institution, I think you owe it to your former alma mater to actually push it up further, to see that these things, that you get into the league for the right reasons, not for those. But I think this is not really a problem which is there for Jadavpur only. I think it's the problem of the environment in which Jadavpur exists. And it is my permanent regret to always have to say to people that when they say, and what about West Bengal? Only thing I have often said is, well, it seems to have fallen off the map. And I think we owe it to the state. We owe it to our culture, and most of you are Bengalis also, to somehow put whatever little moral pressure you can exercise to ensure that some of that glory which was attached to that stage is restored, and that we don't become permanent laggards in India. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We would now request Mr. Amrit Lal Meena, IAS, former Chief Secretary, Government of Bihar and whole Ministry, Government of India, to please deliver the conference address.
Good morning. Esteemed speakers on the dais, distinguished participants for this National Conference on Sustainable Urban Transformation. I have recently superannuated from government, so would like to share experiences of urban administration, challenges being faced by the urban local bodies, and are the challenges of sustainable urban development actually priority of the ULBs or not. When we look at the ground, whether it's municipal corporation or the municipality or Nagar Panchayat, as we call in Bihar, the challenges are day-to-day continuation. In furtherance of 94th Constitutional Amendment, the state governments have enacted the Urban Administration Acts, and the fund, function and functionaries which have actually been devolved need to be looked into so as to make them strong institutions who can truly plan, keeping in view the challenges of urban areas. Many of the states have their act wherein the mayor has to prove majority after every 2 years. So they are always engaged in appeasing the councillors. Councillor in turn has to take care of the voters. He has to ensure that their priorities and the small issues are attended on priority. So we need to look at the 94th constitutional amendment, its implementation, and how, keeping in view the current challenges, certain further devolution of the functions and the functionaries to the urban local bodies is required, because now urbanization is growing very fast, but the capacity of these institutions have not been built. There are not adequate institutions for the capacity building of the elected representatives, the administrators who are manning the urban local bodies. National Institute of Urban Affairs, a limited national institution, but not much of the interface with the state level institutions. So that is one area. We need to set up more and more institutions, and also at state level, more and more institutions. And these institutions should be able to deliver proper training and refresher training to all elected representatives, so that they align their planning, keeping in view the national challenges of urban governance. Some of the states have very thin cadre of urban administrators. In most of the cases, let's say a state civil servant or the All India Service Officer, they move from one department to another department. Somebody is working in urban development, next day he'll go to rural development, third day he'll go to the food processing and so on. Now there is need for having strong professional capability of the administrators. So states and also at the central level, there is a need to think for the cadre of the urban administrators, particularly at state level, because when people move from one assignment to another assignment, they spend a lot of time just to acquire the basics about the new place. But if there is a continuity, I'm sure the delivery would be faster and would be better. Enforcement. We have many acts, regulations, but the enforcement in most of the urban areas is a challenge. If we talk of, let's say, Delhi, there are about 2,000 unauthorized colonies where there is hardly any regulation. And same is the situation with most of our cities. So the enforcement, particularly now in the age when we have technology, there is a requirement for stricter enforcement so that the planned growth takes place. I also wonder that now the planning part of the urban areas is carried out by planning and development authorities. But the planning portion is generally neglected. Most of the development authorities, they undertake master plan, zonal plan, but this is neither regular nor reflecting the visage, and most of their time and energy goes in the development side. So, as an outcome of this conference, I'm sure the recommendations would go to some appropriate level. So this is probably the time where the planning of the urban areas, planning bodies must be separate from the implementation bodies, so that there are experts who actually spend time and energy in planning, and their implementation, when it goes to implementation, it gets affected. So if independence is there in the planning side, would probably be better for the country. There is also a need to now think for, city logistics plan. In most of the larger cities, there are hardly defined areas for multimodal logistic parks, the transport nagars, etc. Resultantly, the traffic congestion happens because of the untimely movement of the large vehicles, goods carriers, and so on. So, for a particular size of the cities, city logistic plans must be mandated and properly developed so that during the daytime when the traffic congestion is high, the heavy vehicles are not permitted and in the off period, they are permitted. So, city logistic plan and infrastructure for at least all municipal corporations in the country and then to the municipalities should be planned. There is also a need for, multimodal logistic parks in and around bigger cities. Otherwise, unplanned parking of the trucks causes massive traffic congestion. So there has to be proper MMLPs at those places where the containerized cargo trucks junctions are there on the railway and the highway junctions, all at least in 3-4 directions of the major cities. Public transport we have been always discussing, but actually the more and more cars and two-wheelers being purchased because the public transports are not reliable. And some of the cities where the metros have come, though the impact is visible, but still there have to be proper regulation now depending on the city requirement. I think we have to grow by, retrofitting the existing urban areas, and also the cities should be planned, satellite cities should be planned in and around the existing cities. There is need to set up satellite cities in different directions in and around bigger cities. For that, the biggest challenge is land availability. Now, when urban department of a state government goes for land acquisition, the costs are extremely high, resistance are enormous. So getting land acquired and then giving it to the developers is serious challenge. The models which have been experimented by different states like Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, land pooling models, replicable models are required to be developed so that people are partner in the whole exercise, and more land is available for satellite cities so as to have the planned development in and around in the periphery of the existing cities along with the retrofitting of the cities. Another area is in the planning we need to bring in, concurrentness. Sometimes because of lack of institutional structure, there are, planning gaps. Sometimes a road has been laid, then after some time, telecom service provider comes and they dig the road, and then some water supply company comes and they dig the road. So there has to be PM Gati Shakti approach in the planning in the cities. For that, institutional arrangement has to be part of the city management. There are some new experiments which are being pursued by NICDC. They are developing some townships away from the cities with all facilities, manufacturing facility like Dholera near Ahmedabad, 85 kilometers from Ahmedabad. Such experiments need to be looked into by different states so as to develop industrial townships which provides both workplace and also the residential facilities and other civic amenities along the trunk infrastructure that is being created in the country in the form of express highways, in the form of dedicated freight corridor, in the form of, third and fourth railway lines being set up. The development of facilities and smart village development is also need of the hour, that for everything we need not move to the cities. If the villages also are developed on this line, so smart villages should be planned. Then the programs of the central government, PMAY Urban 2.0, in which massive scale housing is being planned, it needs to be, given a push because this is basic minimum amenity required, and slum redevelopment is something for which successful models have to be developed. A smart city is a good concept, but because of the limited resources. Now the states needs to own it up and replicate. Amrut also is a good scheme which states need to replicate. I'm sure this conference on sustainable urban transformation will throw recommendations for consideration of the policy planners so that all the challenges being faced across the country in urbanization are looked into. I'm very happy that Jadavpur University and Bengal Chamber of Commerce have jointly organized this. I am not directly associated, but Professor Banerjee, Mr. Mukherjee invited me to, since I was here, so I am happy to be among you and thought to share my personal experiences of having been worked in the government. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sirs. We would be preparing the recommendations as being commented upon by the speakers of this session and moving forward. And it would be summarized and the report would be presented to the relevant authorities both in government and private sector. Before we move on, we will be doing the soft launch of Souvenir of this program. So may we have the cover page on the screen. And to make paper use as less as possible, a pen drive is being kind of given at this conference, which carries this souvenir. If you have not yet got your pen drive, you can collect it from the registration desk. It is also there in our website, and the website link is available at the QR at the registration desk. With this, we'll move on to a very special moment for us for this program. There is a message from Sri D.V. Kapoor, and Mr. B.P. Mukherjee would be sharing his, his thoughts about having this message from the legendary Sri D.V. Kapoor.
Good morning. All the urban enthusiasts, sustainability champions, thank you very much for coming over here. Thank you very much, all of you. I will introduce all of you in my own way, by the way. I'm really delighted having received all of your blessings, all the senior dadas sitting here. We are so fortunate that you all are driving us, egging us along to make it to take it to the next level. We are very, very happy to do this. And yes, we will start with Mr. Kapoor's address. Mr. Kapoor is a 1951 graduate from Jadavpur University, 1951. He's still there at the age of 97. He could not come, so he has sent his blessings through a message, which all of you can read. I don't read it out. It will be a part of the conference Souvenir, which is also in, of course, we're only talking about digital. Some people have told me, of course, don't go digital. We need something to read in the conference. And we are all staying firm. Myself, my co-convener, that little lady I can see here, Sudeshna Das, we are very firm. No, in the conference, we have to restrict the use of paper to the extent we can. It has to be a less paper conference. Otherwise, we cannot talk about sustainability. Thank you very much. I am very, very happy. Everybody talked about my name, but I should tell everyone, first we had Ritik Sengupta, my brother, my younger brother, and of course he is driving all of us. He gave us a lot of freedom, license to work, and that's why we are here, so to say. He doesn't interfere in whatever we do, and he has tremendous amount of trust and confidence that we are on the right way. And where is our secretary? I can't see her here again. She is there as well. Another lady, another driver for all of us. And then, of course, Sudeshna I talked about. I cannot explain what kind of effort she has put in over these days as my comrade in arms. And then another Jadavpurian. Please come, Angana, here. Angana is a Jadavpurian, by the way, though she has a hat from Bengal Chamber of Commerce. But she has been really, really, what I can say, Omen Friday, if I can use this term, really. She has done an excellent job. And then we have been able to bring a power-packed inaugural session. After Ritik's address, we have our own Abhijit Roy. He's, of course, my batchmate, we discovered today, by the way. We have missed our contact. He's, of course, a 1988 mechanical engineer from Jadavpur University. Of course, he has done MBA from IIM Bangalore later on. I just told him that based out of Calcutta, how can you run an empire of 12,000 crore of budget pens? And of course, maybe the market cap of close to 70,000 crore, I believe. How can we do this? How can you manage your 25,000 distributors or whatever throughout India based out of Calcutta? You are not in Gurgaon, you are not in Bombay or Mumbai, but how can you do this? I don't know really. It's a really something we have to learn from him. And then, of course, we had my old friend, Ghanasham Prasad, GP as we call him, my very good friend from 1988. My wife is also here, so we know all of them from 1988. Believe me, GP has been one of the best systemic thinkers we have in the country. I'm telling you from the core of my heart. It is not something I'm telling to praise him. This kind of systemic thinking, he has completely transformed CEA, no doubt about it. If you go to their website, they have a mission, vision. I was reading that yesterday just to make some preparation for this meeting. He has been brilliant, I must tell you. And that's why always he talks about energy literacy. So in today's discussion, of course, Abhijit talked in a very humorous way. I love the way he talked about, he of course talked about city description. When I get up every morning, we always talk about traffic, think about trash, and think about toxic air in Delhi. Three things, these three T's, always tease us in the morning, so to say. And Abhijit really talked about that. And then really we had Ghanasham Prasad. I told you, he has been the co-opted member of Jadavpur University. I can tell you. Last year, when he was here, he said, I went to Calcutta to deliver a lecture in Bengal Chamber of Commerce conference. So for his convenience and comfort, we have brought Bengal Chamber of Commerce to Delhi to support in this program, by the way. For his comfort, so to say. Really, we're so happy. He always talks about energy literacy. What a great concept he always really propagates. And he talks about availability, reliability, and quality of power supply as the real essence to... So I will have some water. Okay, really he propelled that idea. And, he of course talked about reverse migration to rural economy. I was thinking about some Tagore's poet. I don't know whether I can really translate that take away this city and give me back my forest. That's Tagore's poet. And of course, he talked about rural economy in a very romanticized way. I can make it out. I was in Europe 15 days ago. I saw people coming from rural areas and coming to the cities to work. In India, it doesn't happen really. So we need to think about that way. I'm sure during the course of the day, we will have some kind of promising templates for that. We'll talk about that maybe at the end of the day. And really, he also talked about smart grids and smart cities, and very encouraging to note there are 240 microgrids are all across India right now. It's very interesting. And also he established a synergy at the ministerial level. This is very fascinating. So DP also talks about other challenges. I was reading in Times of India 2 days ago that 11,457 apartments, buildings in Delhi are in trouble because the ground level is sinking. Every year at 4 millimeters, every year. It's a matter of concern for all of us. So sustainability is very important. Then, of course, came the Sapan Dasgupta, Dr. Sapan Dasgupta, the former parliamentarian. All of us know, he said, he's not a Jadavpurian, of course. He's a Lamart's guy, I know. He's a St. Stephen person, I know. He's an Oxfordian, I know. But he is our own Calcuttan, okay? That we have to appreciate, really. And, yeah, of course, in 2019, I must tell you, he has a great impact on my MBA. I'm a great fan of him. When I read that book, Awakening Bharat Mata, I don't know how many of you have read this book, Awakening Bharat Mata, where he started talking about Bankim Chandra's first novel of Bande Mataram, 1875. And really, later on, now we know we celebrated 150 years of that. Then it was first written Ananda March in 1881, and first sung by Rabindranath Tagore in a Congress session in 1896. I picked up all the information from his book only. If you read, all of you must read this book. How he has really talked about Bankim Chandra, Vivekananda, and then Aurobindo and others, of course. It's a fascinating book to read, I'm sure. And then he really talked about sustainability. Is it a fashion? Can we make it a mission? That's a very good point you made. I know when I go to any corporates, I find sustainability and strategy are the two very talked about words in the corporate corridors. Everybody talks about strategy and sustainability. Are we really doing anything? I do not know. That we'll talk today in much more details. And really, his message was very, very thought-provoking. In terms of urban design, he talked about working from home, though I would like to tell that, working from home is only for the cognitive talent, sir. They're only 3% of the current workforce. So the 97% people have to go to the office or work somewhere else. So that's a point which really we need to think about. And so he, of course, talked about define sustainability, not through any Western way, but through the lens of, to use his word, through the lens of Bharat Mata. That we should think about. And of course, it's a lot of food of thought because we all know that 60% of India's economy is driven by cities, having only 3% of land base and 35% of population. It's a very, very interesting dichotomy. Sometimes looks very paradoxical. But, then of course, we had Mr. Amrit Meena. He has served the government for 36 years. 36 years. He has seen the world from the chair of SDM to the chair of Chief Secretary and to the chair of Secretary to Government of India. What a fabulous career he had. I met him the other day, along with Angana, I met him the other day. We had a fascinating discussion. He talked about how he has seen how Bihar, which was the most backward state in the country, has been converted to a very, very happening state in the country. It's still a working notion, I know. In his last, I must tell you here as well, in his last cabinet meeting, he demitted the office on 31st of August. In his last cabinet meeting, the cash transfer scheme was passed, by virtue of which 1.4 crore women in Bihar have got this 10,000 rupees. I know, if you think about Bihar, I was, the other day I was talking to somebody, he talked about she is a CM in Bihar. I was not able to understand, what do you mean by CM? CM means community mobilizer. Though in the villages, you have so many community mobilizers in Bihar. These are of course, Obiji talked about people issue. So really people has to be intertwined in this game, otherwise it will never happen. So of course he talked about, we all know that 74th Amendment of Indian Constitution, which was passed and came into effect on 1st of June 1993, which was of course in the parliament, Mrs. Sheila Kaul, she really came this legislation. We talked about 3 layers of governance: central government, state government, local government. But local government, are they really empowered? I have my own doubts. When I go to any other places, I see unassessed, unauthorized, unlicensed, unauthorized, and of course, under-assessed staff, property taxation or trade licensing, everything. I feel things are not moving. Go and try to do some kind of digital movement, there will be a lot of resistance. I told one of the mayors in West Bengal, by the way, 2 mayors in West Bengal, why all of your pump houses are not being fed by green power. You need to have green power for all these pump houses. You have so much of power you're consuming from the grid. Why you are not doing this? These are certain thoughts. I'm sure we will talk more about that as we go throughout the day. He, of course, talked about it the same way, which my dear friend Ganesham said. We need to think about DG Gaon, smart village. DG Gaon concept we have to think about. And really, these are certain ideas. And Amrut, and of course, a smart city mission, he always talks about. Interestingly, he talks about city logistics plan as well, and enforcement. In the US, all these, they call it cities, all the cities, mayors, they are managing the police as well. So the New York mayor now, who's I am not taking the name right now, he can always arrest the Israel prime minister, there is somebody saying, because he has the power, he has the policing power. In India, we don't have. So really, we need to think about how to empower these urban local bodies in a big way. So as Swapanda said, I have to leave at 11:30, 11:15. We are at 11:30, I have to draw it to a close now. But of course, I should tell him, we have formed a think tank, sir. We will definitely think that. I mean, we, at the end of the day, we are planning about how to take this sustainability forward in the school children. We'll talk more about that, sir. And I will again contact you, sir. Okay. For this purpose, again, Swapanda as well. Thank you. And this has been our level of love right now. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. And thereby, we are drawing the session to a close. Thank you very much.
We will move on for the presentation of pen drives with the souvenir are being given to the dignitaries on the dais. And we would also present token of our appreciation to our guests on the dais. So I would request Mr. B.P. Mukherjee to please present a token of our appreciation to Sri Ghanshyam Prasad.
By the way, BP is Bishopio, by the way, yeah? Best practice.
Mr. BP. I would request Mr. Ritik Sengupta to please present a token of our appreciation to Mr. Amrit Lal Meena. And I would request Mr. Abhijit Roy to please present a token of our appreciation to Mr. Shopon Dashgupta. I would request the dignitaries to please give us one more opportunity for taking a photo along with the backdrop. I know they gave us that opportunity at the beginning, but I'm not very sure whether the backdrop was there. While we are having the opportunity of taking a photograph of the dignitaries on the dais, I'll also introduce my colleagues from the Bengal Chamber who have been working with this. So Ms. Dipanita Mukherjee, she is the primary coordinator of this program. Mr. Abhishek Mukherjee, he works with, leads the Chamber's activities in the energy, environment, and sustainability realm. And Ms. Ananda Mondal, she is also a Jadavpurian. She did her master's in international relationship. She is also with Bengal Chamber, working with Abhishek. And of course, we now consider Shudeshna and Shravani as our extended team members.